I know you're so oppressed, my dears. I know life is so hard for you. You have to live in the richest, most equitable, most just country in the history of the world. You have to get a college education. You have to voluntarily go to lectures. It's so awful. I can't imagine that, the people who are in war-torn nations, they must truly pity you. Goodbye. Goodbye then. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your support, but I'm not that intimidated by these guys.
Just take a look at these humans. It's definitely giving animal behavior. Sometimes we gotta wonder how we all ended up on the same earth. I'm 100% sure that the room smells of armpits and wet clothes.
I just have to say that I object strenuously to your use of the word hilarious. To me, this feels a lot like your reaction to being named in one of these manifestos. Now, you're of course not responsible for the words of somebody writing that document, but I do think that laughing at it is a real problem because these are real families that are impacted by this violence. And I think our efforts towards talking about this have to start from a place of mutual respect, which is what I've heard from this side of the table. Now, the reason we don't have those numbers, I want those numbers as much as you do, but to say the numbers don't show something is simply not supported by the data.
Okay, and I have 38 seconds left, Ms. Mulligan, if you want to respond within that time.
The only thing I would add is that it's in the name. Terrorism, domestic terrorism, it terrorizes us. It terrorizes us in our homes. It terrorizes us in our schools. And to the points made by the other panelists, it is disproportionate to its impact on any individual life, and it's not.
You reject the idea it's something that doesn't matter, or it doesn't really matter?
Absolutely reject.
Okay. All right, so here's where we are. Every member now has had 5 minutes and... Okay, and Mr. Clay, so we have two members who have not. So I'm going to go to the two members who have not yet, and we'll give an opportunity for a closing thought to any member who wants before we go.
Am I next to respond, or is Mr. Meadows?
I thought Mr. Meadows was next.
Mr. Meadows, okay.
Mr. Meadows is next, then Mr. Clay, then to you, Mr. Jordan.
Ms. Owens, obviously this is a gang up on you. We're giving these witnesses the ability to do a rebuttal on you, and so I find it unfair, Ms. Ballou. I mean, candidly, for you to show mutual respect and then you to go after Ms. Owens, it's not appropriate. So, Ms. Owens, you can have 4 minutes and 34 seconds to respond. However,
yield for a second.
I'll yield to.
Thank you. I believe, Ms. Owens, when you used the word hilarious, it was referencing the fact that no one had asked you a question. It wasn't to the subject matter of the hearing. Is that right?
That is correct.
And to have another witness insinuate something that is not accurate is just not appropriate, Mr. Chairman, for how witnesses are supposed to behave in front of this committee. I also think you didn't say it doesn't matter about the subject matter of today's hearing. You said there are other subjects that matter as well, and maybe we should spend some time on those. Is that accurate?
That is correct, and they matter much, 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 much more, and I've said that. I said that in my opening, and I will say it again. You know that white supremacy and white nationalism ranks nowhere near the top of the issues that are facing Black America. And the reason that you are bringing them up in this room is because it is attempt to make the election all about race, as the Democrats
Not in my case, Ms. Owens. I'm sorry. Please do not characterize my motive.
Mr. Chairman, it's my time.
Yeah, it's my time. You've got your time, Mr. Meadows. I'll give you 3 more seconds.
Every 4 years, you bring up race, and you knew exactly what I meant when I said hilarious, and you just tried to do live what the media does all the time to Republicans, to our president, and to conservatives, which is you tried to manipulate what I said to fit your narrative, okay? I was not referring to the subject matter that is hilarious. I said it's hilarious that we are sitting in this room today, and I've got 2 doctors and a missus, and nobody can give us real numbers that we can respond to so we can assess how big of a threat this is, because you know that it is not as big of a threat as you are trying to make it out to be so that you can manipulate. And the audacity of you to bring up the Christchurch shooting manifesto and make it seem as if I laughed at people that were slaughtered by a homicidal maniac is, in my opinion, absolutely despicable. And I think that we should be above that. To try to assign reality or any meaning to a homicidal maniac writing a manifesto, which, by the way, let the record show, also stated Spyro the Dragon, the child's cartoon, as a source of inspiration. He also cited Nelson Mandela as a source of information. I don't think that Nelson Mandela has inspired mosque shootings. You can correct me if you think I'm wrong. You would rather assign meaning to a homicidal maniac than to actually address the things that I said today that are actually harming Black America. Number one, father absence. Number two, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high, abortion ranks high, white supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce, and it is ironic that you're sitting here and you're having 3 Caucasian people testify and tell you what their expertise are. Do I know what my expertise are? Black in America. I've been Black in America my whole life, all 30 years, and I can tell you that you guys have done the exact same thing every 4 years ahead of an election cycle, and it needs to stop.
I'll yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Meadows. And
Imagine having 3 Caucasians ganging up against a single black lady just to debate something they can't even wrap their heads around. Watch as Candace Owens absolutely calls out their bullshit and puts them in their place.
If we were both owning houses in a similar neighborhood and I tried to sell my house and you tried to sell your house, my house would statistically be valued higher than yours.
So if you were working at a bank and you were giving out loans, would you give out a loan to a white man and not a black man?
That's what redlining is, you donuts.
Just because there's disparity don't necessarily mean that there's discrimination. I did my research on redlining. There is no unequivocal proof that the reason why loans were given or not given is just because people were black. In protest to redlining, they now gave non-discriminate loans to people who did not qualify. And what happened? We had a whole crash of the system. Black people were not defaulting on their loans at a higher rate than we've ever seen in history. And that's because they focus on race and we should be focusing on results. If you look at statistical data, white people have 30% more savings than black people do. When you go to get a loan, if you know anything about loans, they look at how much liquid funds you have. They look at what you have in your savings. They look at how much money you make. And then you have to negotiate.
Talk about another Wokie going on a ramble on a topic they know nothing about and have no business discussing. And having the guts to stand there and scream about statistics without showing any actual statistics is just flat out crazy. Glad to watch another one being put in check?
I don't know what I did.
Okay, here come the pictures.
What did I do? I just wanted to see what did I do?
Sir, you created a disturbance on the flight. Pilot, you don't have to see him. It's the pilot's plane. The pilot does not want you on the plane. Delta's going to fly.
I didn't do anything.
Sir, are you going to get off the aircraft or am I going to have to use force? I am asking you now. So you are opting for me to use force to remove you from the plane. Is that my understanding, sir?
I don't think you should
Sir,
have to guess me. No. That's not necessary. That is not necessary. But you don't gotta choke somebody. You don't gotta choke somebody to remove them. You don't gotta choke somebody and put a chokehold on it. Put your arm on my throat.
This man gets on his flight and thinks he can be disrespectful to his fellow passenger and the flight attendant without any consequences. Well, I'm sure he's definitely been put on a no-fly list. Let's see how he gets to travel in the future.
Specifically about anything you really said tonight, although I don't really agree with anything you said.
Okay.
I'm proudly part of the LGBTQ community. I've always stood up for my community whenever I needed to.
Is there a question in there or a speech?
Yes.
You got to ask a question, buddy. I know you wrote this out in your notes, but ask a question. Let's go.
How do you think other people who, with your beliefs, respond to the fact that your hateful and harmful rhetoric costs the lives of queer children every single day, on average, every 45 seconds?
Okay, so this is just going to be a pure boogeyman. You're pretending that someone committed suicide because of Candace Owens. You've got no facts here. You're just going, it's your rhetoric that's causing all of this. When in reality, you want to talk about the tea. I sat down with a man named Walt Heyer who was convinced to chop his off after your community told him that there was something wrong with him because he had confusion. Why was he trans? Because he was molested when he was 4 years old by his uncle. Rather than being sat down and spoken to by a psychologist, he was handed hormone pills, and he eventually chopped off his. Walt Heyer is now 80 years old. He detransitioned, and he does a lot of work talking about why it is that he runs a charity, okay, an actual charity that is dedicated to sex change regret, of people who have changed their parts and can't go back. And you know what happens? Suicide rates go up after they transition. After they transition. And Candace Owens wasn't the one that chopped their off. I just want to say, I am not the doctor who chopped off these people's. I am not the person that caused them to have that depression after they go through these transitions and can't just magically go back. So as I said, that is a complete, it's just creating an absolute straw man. Your rhetoric has done this. You have no idea what's going on in those individuals' lives and how they are being inspired to ruin their own lives. And so on my platform, I do host people that have sex change regret, and I speak to those individuals because the community needs to hear those stories before they make those same decisions and can't turn around. Plain and simple.
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question. Seriously, somebody just give out free hugs or something. Somebody give out free hugs. I can't be your mommy. Okay, I'm too pregnant. I can't be your mommy. Next up.
As a non-binary person, what do you have to tell me about my identity? Because I know for a fact I'm not confused.
Okay, next question. Great statement. That's a statement. That's a statement. Okay, you know your identity. You're not confused. Congratulations, sweetheart. Thank you very much for your statement.
Honestly, has the world gone mad? Everyone suddenly wants to identify as something and then blame the world for their failures. Life is tough. Get a helmet. And take off that makeup, boy. You look like a mess.
No, they tell me to pull up somewhere, I never be like, yo, bro, you sure? What I say? Whack 100. When he said come to LA, I said, bro, I'm coming. He's like, all right. I'm getting off the flight by myself and all that. Whack saying, yo, bro, get security. I'm like, I'm good.
I sent security.
He said security.
6ix9ine turned it down in the DMs, but for you as his manager, would you advise him to take that?
I don't manage 6ix9ine.
You don't? What is it?
I do business with 6ix9ine.
Okay.
What's that thing they say about tiny dogs? They are always the ones barking the loudest.
Are you saying that men should not be allowed to have Barbie dolls?
I did not say that whatsoever, but I'm saying there's certain character attributes and traits of how young men should be raised and how young ladies should be raised.
You are defining that women should be raised in one way and men should be raised in another.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yes. Men are better at some things than women, and women are better at some things than men.
What things are men better at?
Lifting heavy objects. Women are better caretakers and nurturers. Women are more organized.
I'm sorry, say that again?
That men are usually stronger physically than women. That is true.
How is that naturally better?
I'm not saying better. I'm not saying one sex or gender is better than the other. They're different.
I can see your point. I can see that men do have more testosterone.
Oh, okay,
so
that's what I'm saying. So there's differences.
Yes, but...
Therefore, men are better at certain things than women, and women are better at certain things than men.
You can see in that moment she knew she messed up. Just imagine throwing yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars deep in debt from student loans just to fail at a basic kindergarten concept. Another Wokie who just throws up whatever she hears from TV.
You're not supposed to be recording.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you going to go around causing trouble and destroying people's properties and then turn around and start screaming racism when you get caught? Make it make sense.
It is? What is it? Oh! And a headbutt to the...
Come on, Fox, what are you doing? Come on.
I see we're getting a little bit progressive here. Men versus women in wrestling. Equality must feel so nice now that you've got a broken neck to go with it, doesn't it?
In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
My political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial child rape with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. If I were the father of one of those women, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
A judge with no judgment getting checked for failing to do her job. She put a male serial rapist in a women's prison, all because he said he was on estrogen. All because she wants to score brownie points from the Little Alphabet Club with many colors.
Can I ask you what you identify as?
Identify?
Ethnicity?
I identify as an American.
Not an African American?
Yeah, I had to work on my own merits and promote the principles I believe in, which is freedom, equality for all, which I believe that America does. And that's how I got elected into my position. I didn't get elected into my position because of the color of my skin or doing any race baiting stuff that it seems like you're promoting here.
Imagine asking someone what ethnicity they identify as in order to race bait, and you can't even pronounce the word properly. It's ethnicity, ma'am.
Living women matter more than potential babies.
What is it?
What do you mean?
If it's a potential baby, what is inside of a woman?
It's a fetus.
Is it living?
No.
How can it grow if it's not living?
Actually, that's like saying if an acorn is a tree.
Fundamentally denying science to validate your opinion.
You actively deny science, ma'am.
How am I denying? What science did I deny, Darby?
Okay, so let's look at some posters over here.
When does the fetus become living?
That's actually a good question, but that line...
Yeah, of course, because you don't know it.
Everybody has opinions, but how many can truly stand and defend their beliefs? Just look at her looking around like she's trying to call for backup. Not so strong now that you aren't hiding behind your keypads.
Does it bother you that there's no prominent African Americans in the White House? It is an administration that has more white men than past administration, but that doesn't bother you. You don't think that diversity is important?
No, not at all. I think that we have to stop believing that diversity is the color of people's skin.
Am I a racist white liberal?
Well, let's go back to an early part of this conversation where you said to me, "Are you concerned about the color in the White House?" Why would you ask me that question?
Because you're bringing a whole group of young African American leaders to the White House.
Okay, the racism and the conversations that we have.
So you're saying I'm a racist?
You haven't let me finish my statement. You keep cutting me off. The emphasis that you place is always on having a discussion about race. Okay, you guys are insistent on having a conversation about race and telling us that we should see and implying that we should see race everywhere, and I don't agree with that. If you don't look at me according to the color of my skin, you would simply ask me how I thought that Trump was doing as a president. But instead, you try to drum up a conversation that's surrounded by race by asking me, are there enough black people in the White House?
A liberal who claims to not be racist but jumps at the chance to bring up black Americans every chance she gets. 3 cheers for liberal America.
Men actually have to work to become something. We're just here.
But can we get paid the same as men?
We do. If we didn't, that'd be an issue.
What are you talking about? Women do not make as much as men.
If it were true that women who are not in these construction jobs and this type of thing, but rather are in kind of comfy AC-related jobs like the men, and they're getting paid less than them, then why wouldn't a man create an entire firm of women and then destroy their competition because they're now paying their staff way less?
I mean, that's a question for a dude. I can't answer that.
Why couldn't you answer that?
Why wouldn't a man have a firm of all women and pay them less? I don't know.
I mean, because then they would destroy the competition who's paying the men more, right?
Okay, so why don't we see that then?
Because it's not the case that men are making more in those positions than women are. If it was the case that you could pay women less to do the same job, then why wouldn't you just make a firm and pay all of them way less for the same job?
I wonder if she knows that it is actually illegal to pay anybody based on their gender. But like she said, I don't know. Ask a man. There's no way you want equal pay, and you are not ready to do the same amount of work as a man.
Black men are more likely to be in prison.
Oh yeah, so why do people go to prison?
Because they're in poverty and they have no other way to get...
Okay, so they commit crimes.
Why do they
So wait, if you're
commit crimes?
So in poverty, we should give excuses for committing crimes?
Yes.
So like gangbanging is like a crime of necessity? Like they're so hungry, they can't handle it.
I'm talking about like crime that has to do with like getting food, getting stuff that you need to live.
Right, but we have food stamps for anyone that needs it, so that doesn't exist. We have subsidized housing for anyone that needs it, so that doesn't exist. We have free healthcare for any poor person that wants it, called Medicaid, that doesn't exist. We also have welfare, cash, for anyone that wants it, so that doesn't exist. So what is it they're missing?
So it's not like you just get a house.
It's not a stuff thing though, right? It's like you will not go hungry in this country. You will not starve in this country.
Yes, you will. There's like,
no, we have an obesity problem.
Street?
We have an obesity problem, not a starvation problem in this country.
Who died and made her the spokesperson on how black men live their lives? This is why we do not believe everything we see on TV. Can someone who actually knows what they are saying get up there and pull a Kanye West on her?
I just have one quick, can you come back for 1 second? Because this is an important question. You said you're an EMT.
Okay, if you're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a is having a medical emergency, and they say to you, "I think I'm having a miscarriage." Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
No, but that's because some people don't have body parts. Doesn't mean they're not a woman.
Okay. Sounds like we've established there are some people who, in principle, can get pregnant, and there are some people who can't. So there's two categories, otherwise known as binary.
That was the loudest silence that has ever been recorded on a camera. You can see the split second the trans female starts to rethink all of their life's decisions.
A bigot? You can go.
Oh, what makes me a bigot, ma'am? Or sir? I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go.
Oh, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're gendering me.
How dare you?
Ladylike.
Oh, well, what are you exactly?
None of your business. What are you?
But you said I misgendered you. If I don't know what you are, how can I not misgender you?
I don't get this Sam Smith thing. It just seems like every week he deliberately...
They.
Why is one person they?
Because that's how they identify.
Why have I got to go along with it?
Because they've asked you to.
Sam Smith. To me, he's just on an ever-deteriorating campaign to be as vulgar and defensive as he possibly can. Am I missing something?
He's doing what pop stars have done for decades, which is trying to shock. And the thing that makes it different from other people is that when Justin Timberlake or Rihanna or someone stripped down, they do so because they look good, like their bodies look good. Sam Smith is like pudgy and very ugly.
You know what? You're both cis, white, straight men. You can carry on.
I'm not a cis anything.
First of all, I am white. Secondly, I am a man. Thirdly, I've been out and gay my entire adult life. I was out as gay when you were still prancing around talking about whether or not you were.
You're a shame to the queer
You know what? I tell you who's really embarrassing.
I'm not a member of the queer community, you
hard.
stupid sod.
Pronouns, am I right? It's a wonder how we went from wanting to discover what made the Earth spin in orbit to fighting about what gender we would like to identify as. These are truly fun times. The next thing we know, we would be fighting over what Walmart items to identify as.
Do you believe in black privilege or white privilege?
We don't have black privilege. We don't have black privilege. Y'all gotta speak up.
I can't say that we don't have black privilege because we have forced it out there to where if a white person just walks up to us, they can't say what they want to anymore.
We and our ancestors gonna let them beat us up and
And there lies your black privilege.
I think that's
White
not wrong with
privilege.
rights.
It's not.
Disrespect me.
No, it's not. It's not a right because white people would feel like it's a right that we live in higher society. It's a privilege.
Would not get the same sentence as a black person. A white rapper and a black rapper. A black rapper still gonna get the same. They'll get worse than the white person.
And there lies white privilege.
That is, it's above black privilege.
Privilege is privilege. What does it matter? They are out here giving colors and identities to concepts.
Did it wrong.
What is a woman?
A woman is
I'm like,
somebody...
this is so complex, I'm scared.
It doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It doesn't
A
need
woman
to be.
is somebody who presents or acts as the social construct of women. And the reason why I don't say biology is because whenever we look at biology, the truth is, before coming to this room, I did not look at anybody's genitalia here. I did not look at any of your chromosomes. I just assumed you guys were women because of how you dress and act. So I think that maps on more to our reality of how we use the word woman.
Essie.
This is so controversial. I'm very, like, a man and a woman. Man has a woman has a vagina, biologically, man and a woman.
I agree. I think that it's like whatever biologically and anatomically what you've got going on.
I feel like what brings out my feminine qualities the most is the thought of being a mother in the future. So I guess I associate being a woman with being a mother in all aspects of that.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Your gender is decided before you're born, when you're born, and for the rest of your life.
I'm having a little boy. The doctor knows that. I know that because he's got a penis that is growing inside of my stomach right now, which is kind of trippy to think about. If I get onto this table and I start meowing like a cat, I don't suddenly become a biological cat because I present like a cat and wear a tail and say meow meow. That is probably means that I need to talk to a therapist. Not you, not you.
At this point, we have to offer a long and heartfelt apology to our high school biology teachers because this obviously shows they wasted all of their time trying to teach us basic anatomy.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also
I don't
saying
know why you'd
that
say
the
that. It's such a racist
There are
question.
some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists
Oh, I
because
don't
of your
believe
rhetoric.
that. I don't
What do you
believe
make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President, I want to
love
ask...
it. You know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And
Excuse me, but to say that, what you said is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
When a Wokie tried to sound woke by throwing around big words that they do not know the meaning of. No wonder he looks so disappointed. Stay in school, kids.
Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female, you said, right?
Correct, is a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? You know, cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not
But
myself.
you used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people who...
That describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own.
We keep saying this to people. If you are going to go on live television and talk, make sure you have your facts checked and accurate. Don't go around embarrassing your right to freely express yourself.
Everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Well, not everyone was a slave.
No, everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
we are all descended from slaves.
Yeah.
Well, all of us.
Yeah.
It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
Right.
But what future do we want? Is this something we want to make part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone according to just who they are as an individual?
I agree with that. That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of, simply because the color of your skin.
What advantages does my color of my skin give me?
Well, there's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't.
If we keep making that the central thing, it will never go away. I think we want to get away from making everything a race or a gender or whatever issue, and just treat people like individuals.
When you want something to go away, you move away from it, but when you keep bringing it up and making it the center of your life, trust me, it's gonna stick around for the rest of your life.
Okay, you're trying to attack me, which is ridiculous, like asking me what my salary is. Sure, I'll reveal it willingly.
You brought it up in context. I'm asking, why don't you live like a socialist?
Okay.
Go live like a socialist.
The point is larger than that, Charlie.
I live like a capitalist every single day. I live as a
Hey,
capitalist,
hey,
okay?
hey.
I live what I believe. What do I do? I get charity every single year.
Hold on.
What's my salary?
Charlie.
Less than his.
Charlie, take
it. Let's go.
Charlie, what are you doing?
Take a seat. All right, no. Take a seat. You're gonna take a seat. You're gonna take a seat over here.
Oh my God.
What's my salary?
All right.
All right, behave, everyone.
Okay.
I practice what I preach.
Charlie.
You
Stop.
do not practice what you preach.
Charlie.
All right, hold on. Last point.
When you think you can just walk into a large auditorium and interrupt someone who's trying to make their point across, you get whatever comes to you.
Illegal immigrants are causing tremendous crime. Tremendous.
Immigrants commit less crime than U.S.-born citizens.
Illegal immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. I'm an immigrant. You're an immigrant. We're all immigrants.
The Pew Research says that there are, Immigrants on the whole
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead. You're a very naive person.
The research says what? Come on, you can do this. Try to get it out. The research says what? If you want to speak facts, then do actual research. Stories you hear from your friends aren't statistics.
So 100,000 women went on strike today in Iceland to demand gender equality. The entire population is 370,000. So over 25% of the population went on strike, and I have some crazy news for you. The economy did not come to a stop, and it continued as normal. The only memo I got was that HR departments were getting no complaints for the 24 hours that the women were on strike. And men were writing that they were really sorry women didn't get gender equality. But I heard one CEO said it was nice to finally get some done, end quote.
Finally, some peace and quiet with no attitudes.
You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
Stop it. Get some help. So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic. And it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them.
Wow. Are you sure about that? Oh, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide.
That's the dumbest thing you could have said. What are you, an idiot?
So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking
Are you?
if you're
Are
talking
you?
about women
Are you?
having pregnancies.
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you, or are
Absolutely.
they also treated like this?
We have a good
By
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
A teacher with basically no sense at all. We have to do better than these guys. But I know this is just going to repeat itself again because they never leave, and so on to next time. This is the end of the video. Which Wokie takedown was your absolute favorite, and which Wokie got you kicking up your feet in laughter? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you can keep enjoying this train wreck.